Hello and welcome to the Performance Racing League. You are joined for round 12 at the Netherlands. It's the Zandvoort. 15 drivers currently have made their way for qualifying, and you'll be pleased to know that you are joined today by Hoop for CoComs.
Yes, very happy to be here. A very wet, and I imagine it would be a very muggy Zandvoort circuit right next to the ocean.
Indeed, everyone seems to be on intermediate tyres. Yeah, you can see the rain's not crazy heavy, but it's going to be hard around here.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get a drying track at some point this session. Probably at the very end, so it'll be a nice mad rush to get good laps in on slick tires, but we'll have to see. Enough water will have to be cleared off the line before we get to that point.
We love to hear that. The mad scramble at the end. Do you know what the race conditions are meant to be like?
I think it's straight up dry. Like we'll have some clouds, but it should be dry.
Interesting. It already looks like the Williams of Mr. Bean being kind of held up on an outlap, so I wonder if he'll just dive past. Yeah, they'll sort themselves out there. Quite a lot of drivers already making their way out as Mr. Bean glides his way around quite a difficult left-hander. And in terms of the standings, Hoop, who are the drivers you're excited to look out for today?
Well, we've had a very tight battle at the front, or at the top of the standings. Mr. Bean has finally caught and overtaken Gordsas with a win last week in Canada. Let's see how tight it is now.
Yeah, and in the meantime, I'm on the POV of Mr. Bean, in fact, as he manoeuvres his way around. The McLaren nicely getting out of the way there, tucks onto the outside. You can really see Mr. Bean struggling for traction, taking quite unconventional lines. Quite a narrow line, actually, through the tight left-hander.
Just a 15-point lead for Mr. Bean over Gord. Mr. Bean has won four of the last 5 races. So he's been quite the tear to catch up with the Mercedes driver. Should be a tight last 3 rounds for sure.
Amazing. Well, hard to see what the reference time is, but we'll stay on board with Mr. Bean because he's phenomenally quick. Very good use of the gears there, keeping low revs. A little bit eccentric on the throttle on exit, but he'll be okay. And then just powering his way through now. The very nice right banked section here onto the main straight. Let's see what time he sets. It is a 1:18.6, so that's the time to beat. Seems solid enough. And immediately, Janneman sets a 1:19.
Yeah, he made his debut last week with us and finished P2. A very tight battle for the win last week in Canada. So if you missed that, check out the YouTube, check out that battle. It was excellent.
Amazing. Loving the rep for the YouTube as well. I believe the description is in the Twitch stream, so do check it out. And again, if anyone's interested in taking part, I believe the Discord server link is there. So we're more than welcome to have new people join. Quite a welcoming community. Lots of room to grow and develop. Yeah, really, really nice. Oh, Martin's gone very deep. And he's gone into the gravel. So you may have to try that again. Although he may be on an in-lap. Hard to tell. Just following Frosty now in the Ferrari. Beautiful red Scarlet car. And a 120.9. It's great to see Frosty back. Took quite a big sort of break from F1 in general. And it's really nice to see him making up the numbers. And it's good to see 17 drivers as well on the grid.
Yeah, we may... Oh, wow. I was watching Frosty, a big slide into the bowl there. Wow. We should have 19 at some point, hopefully. Some drivers still struggling with server issues to get in. But yeah, a nice big field. Should make for an interesting turn 1, lap 1. Very tight corner.
Indeed. And Tar Heels, ever present, runs very wide actually on turn 1. I don't know if he was trying to get out of the way of other cars. But, he has certainly done that. Unconventionally. He'll be fine. That's not a problem. So I'm following now with Dr. J because I did just move off Frosty actually as he began that slide, so I'll try and pay more attention. But Dr. J, he's up almost a second so far. So we'll see what he can do. Again, notice the drivers here choosing very, very high gears. So gear 5 through that penultimate corner. Just really trying to keep the car stable. 122.1, that's a nice improvement, up to 13th place, and then very sensibly gets out of the way. I feel like the driving standards are really high at the moment. It's nice to see.
Looks like Mr. Bean finding more time as he heads into the final corner.
Wow, yeah, and Frosty actually is up 1 second. So if he can keep this pace up, he'll be in the mix for second place. Although I have a horrible feeling he's about to get held up by a driver that, like, not on purpose. I think this driver is setting a hot lap. So just one of the real unfortunate events. Oh, wow. Got into the dirty air. Got a little bit, yeah, a little bit hyped maybe, but that's absolutely fine. And does a really, really, really good job of getting out of the way. So great recovery, Frosty. And if you set another lap time like you did up to that point, I think you're on course for, at the moment, I think 3rd place. So yeah, Mr. Bean a 117, that's absolutely wild. But I tell you what, Phantom Minim, who is quite new to PRL, I've been enjoying watching him. He's currently looking on track for maybe a pole. Although that might have been an issue when I first switched, because it just came up and said plus 1.2. So maybe I was wrong there. But
yeah, certainly a lot of pace has joined the league recently. It's made it a lot tougher for guys like Gord, still trying to get championship caliber points every week when there's just like 5 or 6 drivers fighting for 3 podium spots.
Yeah, I really can relate to that. It can be so frustrating because obviously, you know, they're there on merit and they have pace and you've got to respect it. That has happened to me before, actually, when I was leading a championship, and then fast reserves come in and suddenly, if you don't get the start you wanted, and I was having an abysmal season, actually, off the grid, like off the launch for Turn 1, you'd lose 2 or 3 places and you would really struggle to make it up whilst your rival was in the lead. But I like it, you know, the better drivers, the better caliber, the better just in general. As Joe sets a 118.1. Wow, this is I'm calling this to be a very interesting session. I think towards the end, if it does dry up, it's going to be pandemonium. And, well, there's clearly, as you say, a lot of fast drivers. Very, very grouped up between P1 and 5. Love to see that.
Yep, Gord is about to join that group. He's up by quite a bit. He gets into the 118s.
Great observation there. Wow. Yeah, so Gord really trying to make waves. Just as you said, Hoop. Needs to get ahead of that other pack. Right, I'm following on board with Frosty again. I've not seen his delta. He has set a green, I think, so far. 118.9. So yeah, P7. That's a good solid lap there from Frosty. I don't think I've heard of Bats. Is Bats new to PRL?
Relatively, I believe. Possibly his 5th or 6th race.
Awesome. Well, welcome to PRL. Belated hello from me anyway, Bats. I'm seeing V-Volts JJ. I don't think I've seen him before as well.
Yep, new arrival.
Awesome. Here we go then, Bats. You're getting the spotlight right now. What can you conjure up? Nice. Brakes below the 120 buffer. P11. Honestly, I would dread to think where my pace would get me if I was to now play again. I'm actually going to buy a new wheel when I get paid. It's been broken since November.
Man.
Yeah, so I might actually do a couple of races in Feb. But I am very scared to see, like, how much pace drop-off do you get not playing the game for 3 months?
It's like, I imagine it's kind of like riding a bike. You'll know how to drive, but you'll like probably pull up those time trial laps and realize you're a second and a half off initially, and you're like, man.
Yeah, those are mounted right now. So Mr. Bean's on his outlap, and do you know what? The track's already drying, so I think Mr. Bean I don't know if you can hear us, but I would say go back into the pit, put a soft set of tyres on. Inters is not the way at all. Let me just double check what tyre he is on. Some of the yeah, he's on Inters. So let's see what he does. But clearly it's soft conditions, absolutely soft conditions. Yeah, he makes his way in. Wow, very aggressive pit entry there. That was wild. If I tried that, I 100% would bin the car in the wall. So yeah, Finsick in the meantime, he's set a 1:17.4, so that will probably be the fastest interlap, but in all honesty, it will be meaningless, to be blunt. We should see a couple of seconds gained at least on these softs. So notice loads of drivers in the pits now. They've actually been gifted this quite nicely because it's not as much of a rush as I've seen before. They've got, what, 7 minutes? Plenty of time. They could even maybe do 2 stints.
I imagine that it'd be tough to bring them up to temperature. I would probably do like another warm-up lap. Not really pushing the car, but getting some temperature in, and then dropping the ERS and really firing it up. But yeah, plenty of time.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually, about temperatures. Another driver almost runs onto the gravel in Gentleman. I think the same place another driver did earlier. It is tough around there. But yeah, it's a good point about warming up the tyres, because you're right, the surface temperature will be low. So yeah, we'll see. Oh wow, and Dr. J is still out, setting a hot lap, I believe. Oh no, this is now his in lap. Okay, fair enough. Oh wow, I'll tell you what, offline there's not a lot of grip, at least from Frosty's POV. Oof. Yeah, definitely. Oh no! Oh my goodness, I have no idea how he didn't lose the front left wheel there. I was fully expecting game over. But anyway, let's ride it on board with Joe. Joe is about to start a flying lap, and he almost dropped it. So he's going to lose a lot of time, actually, just down this main straight. For those that are sort of new to racing in general, I suppose, probably not loads of you, but for those that are, you want to maximize your exit speed. So if you drop the car or lose traction on exit, you have to lift off the throttle, and then you're essentially losing time relative to everyone else all the way down that straight. But 5 minutes to go, so plenty of time to do a second attempt.
Yeah, very interested to see how, okay, about half a second faster through sector 1. Big wobble there.
Whoa.
Wow. That's a very high-speed corner, and then the following corner, very tricky, and that's where you're going to feel that lack of traction.
Definitely. It's nice to see Joe's improvement. He's got so much more confidence than when he first was in PRL, for sure.
Yeah, went from a Tier 2 champion, and then once the tiers combined, he's certainly been competitive at the top of our Sunday tier.
Yeah, I remember racing against him, and yeah, it was, I think back in the day I was actually quicker than him, but I don't think that's true now.
So you got him into the top, and DRS has just been enabled, so definitely a dry track now. Joe must have made a mistake somewhere.
Yeah.
He did not.
Oh, Mr. Beans dropped it. He went purple sector 1, and he just reset to track as well, which was unfortunately caught on the stream. Oh dear. So I'm on board with Janeman, and he is improved by 1 second. So this is looking like a potential pole sitter in the making here. I'm hoping it wasn't another glitch though, because sometimes the game does throw up the wrong delta. So we'll stay on board. But it definitely said -1 for sector 1. Very controlled on exit. It almost looks slow, but it's not. Yeah, look at this. So he's definitely dialed in. He's got the temperatures up to the an optimal temperature, which you were alluding to, Hoop. And now he's just reaping the rewards. Oof.
That's going to be a very tricky corner, because that curb will get you. But if you run wide, then that double curve on the outside will also get you.
He's a confident man. I like it. I wasn't going to say it, but I was thinking it in terms of, if you know you've got the pace, you go in, you put a new set on, and then you really give it when the track's in optimal conditions. So I think that was a winning call. And to make that decision whilst being so much faster than your previous lap shows a lot of confidence and a lot of racing IQ.
Well, XTK Mysterious just jumped up to P3. I'll make that P4, and yeah, the track is certainly drying out.
Yeah.
Butler to the top of the board now. Finsick is on a flyer. He is very much up after 2 sectors.
Amazing. Yeah, so I think Butler was the first driver to set a lap while sort of dialed in. Bats is joining him. But yeah, I do think the decision to pit and go in and go out again does make sense. I think 2 stints in. I think looking at the track now, because it basically looks immaculate and sooner than expected, I think that's the way to go. And Finsick, apologies, we completely missed that one. A 1:12.2. Well, there you go. That is the true signpost lap. That's got to be the target. Let's see if I can catch anyone else. So Mysterious has gone purple sector 2. Tar Heels has not gone out. He's on inters, so he's still in the pit, and I don't think he has time now, unless he pressed leave. Well, 5 seconds ago. Mysterious with 1:12.8. So I think Tar Heels is expecting, or he's anticipating and perhaps planning to start at the back, but with a fresh set of softs. And the Gourd Source again, sorry, missed that. Spirit Chaotic, 1:11.3. Wow. Right, because it's so spread, we need to look at drivers perhaps lower down as well.
Got an eye on Martin, though he's actually charging up for a new lap. Sorry about that.
All good.
Frosty is up big time on his lap.
Nice, that's right on board. And then I think really the showpiece of this qualifying session is going to be Janneman, Mr. Bean, Joe, Phantominum, GK Bass. So definitely stay tuned because, well, in any qualifying session, the end is pretty much always the best, especially in this case. Frosty, 1:11.7. Might not quite be enough. Sensibly dives out the way. Really good driving, I have to say. Very good awareness. Right, so we have Janneman and Mr. Bean now on their flying lap. Who is going to get pole position? Mr. Bean absolutely going for it there. Locks up, diving down to the inside of that corner. Ooh, 2.5 up so far. Hard to tell if that's on track or not. Just gliding through the corners now. Much more grip, much more confidence. And Janneman just behind as well. So we'll ride with those two for the most part. Again, apologies to everyone else. It's hard to track everyone. Free Guy with the 1:10.7 with the dark horse lap there. Wow, what an effort.
That was his first lap of the day too.
And Finsick, amazing. Let's see if Mr. Bean can grab pole position. It's going to be hard here. And he almost does it. Second place. And what about Janneman? He has gone. A Phantom Minim has grabbed pole. And wow, it was all dancing around there. Janneman for 1:09.5. So I think, to be honest, we successfully managed to not track the fastest driver all the way through. I think that's a new world record.
I've got an eye on Gore just to be safe. He's coming to the line. It's going to be close, but I think it's going to be top 5. Wow, top 2.
Oh.
Very tight there at the top between Gord, GK Bass, Mr. Bean, Janneman. Yeah, very, very tight in the 109s.
Yeah, and this is another reason why I just don't bet. Wow, so tight at the top.
I managed to do the same thing last week. I would pull away from someone, they would then drop a purple lap, and then go to someone else, and then the previous car would drop a purple lap.
Excellent session. I mean, if that's anything to go by, it's going to be an extremely tight race. I think the top 5 or 6 really close together. Very good pace. Good evening to all of you, and thanks, Rusty, for the weather call out in the chat. Alan asks, will I manage to enter? Alan, I don't know what your PS username is. I don't actually know if you're in the league as well, I'll be super honest.
Yeah, I'm not sure I have you added, Alan, unfortunately.
If you're a reserve and you've genuinely reserved up and you've got, you've been told on Discord that you can race, which I can check, but if you message your PS username in the Discord rather than...
might be a touch too late for you now with the race getting underway.
Yeah, I think he'd have to do it in 5 seconds. So yeah, maybe next week.
Yeah, sorry about that, Alan. Hope we see you on Wednesday though for midweek.
Right, let me run through the finishing order. So we have Phantominum on pole, Gourd Sauce, GK Bass, Mr. Bean, Janeman, Finsick, Martin in P7, Joe in 8th, Free Guy 9th. I mean, set a great lap, but just so much pace there. Somehow ended up 9th. Bats 10th, Villeneuve 11th, Frosty 12th, Volt, I should say 13th, Dr. J 14th, Marchena, good to see him racing, 15th, Mysterious 16th, Butler 17th, and Tar Heels, of course, in 18th, choosing not to set a time on the soft tyre. Nothing carrying over. And a lot of the grid are choosing to start on soft tyres. What do you make of that, Hoop?
Yeah, I didn't take enough time to see what the strategy would be here. But interesting call. The softs have been generally terrible on this game. So interesting to see if these guys actually start on the soft tire.
Yeah.
Like they just come apart so quickly, but I would expect medium hard generally, but we'll see.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's wild. That's why I'm thinking is like the meta changed in the game. Because so much soft use, unless they know something about the soft. It should, yeah. Rusty's saying should be a dry race though. Normally, for those that maybe aren't so aware, if the track's going to get wet, say halfway through, then you might as well pick the soft tire because it will basically wear out quicker. So the soft tire wears out quicker, but it's faster. So if you know there's wet weather coming, you could stick the soft tires on, and then as soon as it rains, switch to the intermediate tire or the wet weather tire.
Or the soft runners are expecting an early safety car, which it's Zandvoort. It's nearly a full grid. So who knows? Like we could get that very early safety car, and in previous races here, we've got the full 3 or 4 safety cars that the game allows. So
yeah. And interestingly, the bluff game could be happening because some people are slowly switching onto mediums. Maybe it's our words of wisdom that are convincing them. Does Marchena get the same abuse? We'll see after turn 1, lap 1. Well, here we go, Hoop. Let's get going. Let's set us off.
4, 5 red lights, and we are off at Zandvoort. Cars all over the place already as we head towards turn 1. It gets very tight here on entry. Keeping it clean for the most part.
Yeah, very impressive.
Yeah, do have some movement in the midfield. The outside. Ooh, very tight near the back, though. We're 3 wide.
Oh, there's an Aston Martin into the wall. Janeman, that was unfortunate. Made contact with GK Bass. I think it was GK.
Very, very tight at the apex there, and a very fast driver already in the back brings out the VSC.
Oh yeah, I'll be frustrated by that. It is annoying. You know, no one's fault per se, but when the car next to you puts the throttle down a little bit early, and they have a wobble. That wobble will often knock you off the track, and I think that's what happened in that case.
Yeah, so many different lines to take through that corner as well. You're anticipating what the other drivers are going to do line-wise, and sometimes you get the wires mixed up.
VSC's already ended, so we're back up to racing speed. That was incredibly fast. Like to see it. And Mr. Bean has very much been on it there, and he's going to attempt to get better traction on exit. Looking good so far. He's going to get slipstream from Gourd Sauce, and then it's really a case of how much battery does he want to use. I think Gourd is very much having the approach of, I do not want to lose this position right now. Tar Heels makes the move. Tar Heels is already up to P13. What a first lap from him. And Mr. Bean going down, doing the switcheroo, so switching back to the inside, which then gives him the inside here, but can he hold on? Yes, he can. I was going to say it does then become a right-hander, but he's done what he needed to do. Now I think it's best for these two not to fight too much, because they need to absolutely ensure that Phantominum does not get 1 second ahead of them. And for those that don't know, 1 second is the cutoff for DRS. drag reduction system that increases your speed in certain sections of the track, such as here. So you'll see the rear flap opens. So they've all sorted it out nice and clean, and race on.
Yeah, I counted 4 cars into the pit lane after lap 1 with damage. So already some pit stops going on. It looks like, oh, Butler, you forgot to change your wing.
Oh,
unfortunate there, but still plenty of race left.
Yeah, and Joe up 3 positions on a charge, eyeing up GK, settling into the back of the DRS train for now. Very difficult to overtake actually around this track, it has to be said. It's good to see Finsick as well in this race. Very good driver.
Yeah, I'm not sure we've seen him since his random disqualification at Singapore, I believe it was, many, many weeks ago. So good to see him back.
Yeah, that's a real tilter. Bats definitely has the pace advantage over Free Guy, but again, it's so hard to get through. He's going to have to be patient. Don't burn all your battery. Just wait for a little mistake. Wait for an opportunity. Perhaps now we'll see. Actually, Free Guy got excellent speed off the exit there. I'm going to jump back up to Mr. Bean because he is so close to Phantom Venom. This could well be a move for the race lead on lap 3 of 36. Yep, a nice comfortable move in the end. Massive lockup. Free Guy and Bats are racing hard, side by side. And Bats just about gets the move, but he's got to be careful here. Yep, takes the inside line, defends off Free Guy from the dive. And I think, yeah, he should solidify that place now. Good driving. I'm going to follow Janeman. He's trying to charge his way back up the order. He's got past the Ferrari of Frosty. So if both Frosty and Janeman really not having the best session so far, but they've certainly got pace. And just for those that are curious, most drivers on the medium tyre, Mr. Bean on the soft. Probably should have called that out a bit earlier. I mean, we were showing it on the screen before the race began, but here it is again for people that want to see.
Yeah, I'm sure the Aston Martin of Janeman will just push as hard as possible to make up all this time, all this track he has in front of him, and we can really see him stretch his legs.
Yeah, Bass gets past Gourd Sauce, and then Gourd Sauce has to be very careful and very intelligent not to then get double overtaken. And Joe had to really slam on the brakes to avoid hitting him. Good driving all round. Yeah, it's looking very tight. So a little bit of a gap, though, between first and second. But I would say so far it's advantage Phantom Minim. He's going to use Mr. Bean to drag him around the track with the faster tyre, making the most of DRS. Oh, Joe's gone and hit the curb. And Bass as well. Oh, absolute carnage there. Yeah, if you ride over the curb, it ends badly.
That curb will grab you. It's easy to, because that's such a high-speed corner, and you run just a little wide, and that double curb will just grab the underside of the car and send you wherever it wants to go. Could have been worse. Certainly could have been worse for those drivers, though.
Yeah, could not agree more. It's race on for them, and they're still right at the back of GK Bass. I mean, it's only a 2.8 second gap from Bass to Finsick, so yeah, he can more than make up for that. He's got tremendous pace. And yeah, so first and second place, just playing a little game of switching positions each lap under DRS. They don't want to slow each other down too much. They've got such a lovely buffer, and they're smart enough to know that. So I'm sure they'll race very clean. I don't expect any crazy moves here. So I'll jump back on board with Gourd Sauce. It's so easy as well to follow the line of the car in front, almost subconsciously. So if the car in front drifts wide and hits that curb, you often do the same thing. And perhaps, maybe Joe fell into that a little bit.
Yeah, sort of tunnel vision of sorts.
Yeah, it's really hard to describe, but it's definitely a thing. I've done that many times before.
Oh no.
Something's happened. Someone's in the pit. Marchena has DNF'd. I don't know if he's just chosen to retire. I'm not sure.
It appears so. Hopefully that car will stay out of the way.
Yeah. Well, this is not the best of timing. Will the move get done under yellows or not? Mr. Bean, he's dived down the inside. And yet the ghosted car comes out just about perfectly to not get in the way. Free Guy has gone very deep, trying to make a move on Bats. I think it was a bit of a defensive move. And yeah, Bats is through. So these two are having a great race. They've been going at it since lap 1.
Yeah, but they have a Red Bull that has joined them, Red Bull of Villeneuve, so he will like to get involved in this little battle.
Love to see it. But yeah, I think right now the battle between Bass, Martin and Joe, that's really shaping up. They seem very even on pace. Joe with a soft tyre, it'll be interesting to see how his tyres fare because we're on lap 7, so I'd expect a drop off now between soft and medium. Maybe they're kind of at like equilibrium point at best. And again, the usual switch at the top. They're not really racing at this point. They're just trying to preserve their advantage over the rest of the field. And the DRS train remains in place. Bass is actually doing a really good job, to be honest, to have led this train for so long. And he's preserving his battery beautifully, it has to be said. So they've caught up by 0.2. I believe it was 2.8 seconds after the mistakes. So yeah, a little bit of an improvement, but pretty stable. Gord's going on a charge. He seems very aggressive in a good way, like he really wants to get something done. Went slightly wide on the curb, but he'll be okay. Just lost a little bit of time.
Yeah, Gord and Finsick putting up nearly identical lap times last time around, within 1/100th of each other. So that DRS train coming into play. It's less of a train, it's just 2 or 3 cars getting attached to each other, and the DRS is just so important here that it's hard to pull away.
And meanwhile, Mr. Bean choosing not even to make the move on Phantom Venom, so this time they maintain positions. Perhaps a small sign of soft tyre drop-off. So I think the race will come alive when the pit stop phase begins, to be perfectly honest. As I've said earlier on, it's difficult to overtake around here, so you do tend to get DRS trains. But you've got to play the long game. 36 laps, look after the tyres, pit at the right time, don't make mistakes, don't hit those curbs too aggressively. I think that's really the mentality that's required at this stage. Oh, and as I say that, commentator's curse, Gore did not stay off the curb. And he got completely flung off into the gravel.
That same corner.
Yeah, such a shame. I completely get it. You know, I think he was just being very aggressive, really trying to put pressure on. But yeah, that's an unfortunate one. He's maintaining P7 though. A long race to go.
Gord will have nightmares about this track now. Earlier this season in midweek, he was leading and picked up a puncture somehow, and then picked up a too fast entering the pit lane penalty and threw away a win. So very has some beef with this track for sure.
The issue with motorsport is that it's so easy to throw away a race. I mean, it's one thing to race and sort of gain a position, race fast, but it's then just so easy in the blink of an eye. You just ruin everything. I mean, it's hard to see it sometimes when you see this caliber of driving, but even just going off with one wheel onto the grass, put the power down, that's it. You're going to end up in a wall. It's so
there really are no other sports where you have to be flawless the entire time.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, actually. I mean, yeah, let's say take soccer, or even like NFL. I mean, if you make a bad throw, you just get a second down, right? You just try again. It's not really the end of the world. I mean, I know there's like key game-changing moments. I'm not taking anything away. That sport's incredible. But yeah, F1, you've got to concentrate for so long, and any little mistake, it's game over. I think the individual element to it as well is just makes it hard. There's nowhere to hide.
Right.
I can't believe I just said soccer. I'm gonna have nightmares.
You're gonna get kicked out of your country now.
Trump's giving me that green card. He's got it in the post.
Watching GK Bass has pulled up about half a second since I've been watching him to Finsick. So he's leading that train, but is able to. Oh wow, big wobble as we get to him.
Yeah, I think Martin may try and go around the outside here. Great spot.
Ooh.
Slightly
Left
ran
him
out
a
of
little
room.
bit of space on the outside, enough space, but shut the door on him.
But you're right though. Even with that mistake, it's 2.2 seconds now. So there is a slight bit of pace advantage between this pack and Finsick. Finsick very much in a race by himself at this stage. And yeah, I do think the soft tyre drop-off is in place, because Mr. Bean, he's looking super comfortable, don't get me wrong. But I don't think he's really looking likely to make the move on Phantom Venom at the moment. They're just controlling the pace. I think their race will come alive towards the end. And yeah, afternoon, Northern, and good evening to European viewers. Are you still racing, Northern? If you're still in the chat? Also, final side note for Northern, as we ride on board with Joe, I noticed that you play Marvel Rivals. You're quite a high level, so that's cool. Maybe we'll have to play sometime. So, Mr. Bean, yeah, again, not making a move.
Oh,
and we have a pitter, yeah. Tell you what, I know GK's made a couple of little mistakes, but his pace is phenomenal. He's really coping well. And Martin just sort of sneaking in there into P3. He never goes away. He's calm and collected, and he gets the job done more often times than not. I'm looking down the order. The back order is very strangely widely spread, like lots of 7-second and 8-second gaps.
Yeah, I imagine everyone's making their own little mistakes, having some yellows pop up. So you make a mistake, drop a couple more seconds. Let's see. I wanted to check in on Yanaman, who is now 7 behind Tar Heels. He caught him by 2.5 seconds last lap, so he is still very much on the charge.
Yeah, great effort by Gentleman to stay in there. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. Free Guy and Bats again, yeah.
They had kind of fallen away from each other a little bit, but they're back on it now.
And Bass once again now leading the train. He's always been like that, actually. He's been a driver that doesn't mind leading a DRS train. Backs his abilities. I know some drivers that prefer to sort of stay in second, just behind the lead, and then wait for the moment, but Bass likes to be on the front foot. So lap 14 of 36. Janneman, something's happened.
Retired in the pits. It looks like he picked up some damage.
Oh, commiserations.
And that's it for him. Very frustrating race for the Aston Martin driver, reserve.
So we get the customary EA flashing yellow flag. Oh, someone has gone very slowly. Is that Butler? Or is it Dr. J? Dr. J! Something happened to Dr. J. I think he binned it on exit. He's missing a front left end plate, so he will need to pit. That's unfortunate. And he now has Volts on old softs just behind. Any sneaky picks to win, asks Northern. Phantom or Bean? Oof. I mean, I couldn't call it between the two. Maybe advantage Phantom Minim, just based on how fast he was on the mediums for the first few laps.
Yeah, it's almost certainly going to be one of those two, yeah.
You never know, there could be a tangle. I'm just recounting a time where I think Tyles and I tangled P1 and P2 on the last lap of the race. And then you just allow the third place driver to sneak the win. It's super frustrating.
Looks like Mr. Bean heading into the pits now.
Great spot. Oh no.
Man. That's really going to hurt.
Well, we spoke too soon. I mean, Northern, I'd like to now re-answer your question. Phantom Minim, much more likely.
And of course, I had been talking about Gord Sasson midweek earlier this season here, and then say, oh, it's got to be one of these two guys. Like, it won't be. It could happen.
And look at this. Is Mr. Bean being held up by a ghosted car? Wow, that was so weird. He came out of the pits and just had a car right in front of his face. Oh, do you know? I don't know if Mr. Bean's come off too well there. Be hard to tell. We'll see. He's gonna have to set really fast lap times. Obviously, I'm ignoring the 10 seconds. Just in terms of track position, I don't know. It didn't seem ideal.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of space, to work with, but oh wow, a Volt very much off in the second to last corner.
Oh,
he has found the wall.
I don't think I've ever seen someone go off.
That's a very long trek through that gravel to get to that wall. I wonder if there was a huge snap or cut the curb or.
Oh yeah, commiserations. Did really well actually not to jump on the track because it's so hard to rejoin here because of the speed everyone has. Oh,
I was trying to stay out of the way of the leaders.
Oh, the front left suspension took a battering there.
Huge dive into the pit lane just to get there, but he didn't want to jump in front of the leaders. So good job.
Oh, honestly, that was such a good job. Yeah,
getting out of the way.
Yeah, so impressive. Finsick makes the move on Mysterious on hard tyres, fresh hard tyres. Looking good. And so Mr. Bean, Finsick, Joe, Bats, Dr. J, and Volt, they're all on fresh tyres. And really the big question now becomes that when will the top four choose to pit, in particular Phantom Minim? Yellow flag out for, I think it's a Haas. Oh no!
It's Martin.
Martin on the old mediums.
Gonna guess that same curb. Start a support group for drivers that have been eaten by this double curb between turns 8 and 9.
And Mr. Bean is now getting held up. I think he's going to make the move easily, so I think he'll only lose maybe 3 or 4 attempts. Kind of caught up at the ideal time. Just be careful in case Gord wants to pit. Oof, okay.
This is Gord, though. This is a championship battle happening. Gordon, surprised he didn't really fight back, but also that's such a tough move to defend, especially with such a huge difference of tires.
Yeah, and Free Guy into the pits now, putting on a set of hard tyres. We've got a nice little battle here between Villeneuve and Joe. Yeah, I suppose the tyre difference was too big. Joe makes the move. I'm trying to think, going into the pit and coming out, it must take about, is it 19, 20 seconds around here?
That seems about right. Perhaps 22 or 23 seconds time loss, but...
So do you reckon that Phantom Minim has purposely delayed his pits just to control the race in case of any shenanigans?
Yep, certainly possible.
Yeah, Because he'll certainly come out
Also,
in second place now. I think Mr. Bean is guaranteed, track leading in terms of race position.
so wonder if they're trying to push these mediums a little bit further, maybe going medium soft. I think that window is starting to open for the guys who are. I mean, it's halfway through the race and still on the mediums, so could be an option.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what he does.
Oh, we've lost a volt. I think he's bended in the banked corner, turn 3.
Yeah. That is unfortunate. So I think it's coming up on somewhere around here. There you go. Just in the background, he was parked up on a wall with all sorts of problems. Right, so a relatively spread out grid. Still a few drivers yet to pit though, so it's certainly there's a lot of interesting action still to come, I'm pretty sure. Free Guy has a lot of places to potentially make up. A lot of drivers in front of him have not pit. Finsick as well, don't count him out. Strong pace.
Wow, and Phantom Minim just, let's see, I think it was 1.3 seconds faster than GK Bass that time around, so he is really stretching his legs now.
Wow. Controlling the tyre deck.
Oh, it's so easy to speed here. It is so easy to speed in the pit lane here. With the little chicane right before the pit entry. Carrying just a little bit too much speed and 10-second penalty for you. Gord Sauce finds his way onto the softs, so he's going with that medium soft strategy.
16 laps on the soft tyre. Yeah, I mean, I don't know enough about the game, I guess, nowadays, at least as of the new year, to know if 16 laps is even possible around here on soft tyres, as in, like, from a competitive point of view.
I'll say the left sides take a beating around here, so it's really managing those left side tires because there's so many high speed right-handers, right? So really wearing out those left side tires and maybe taking a couple laps to kind of feel it out, or having, after pushing one lap, pulling it back the next lap through certain corners to really maintain temperature, especially when you're on the soft tires.
Yeah, as Finsick makes the move on Martin for P4. And Mr. Bean all over the back of Bass, being held up, it's safe to say. I assume 1 or 2 more laps, and I'd expect Phantom Minim and Bass to definitely pit onto soft tyres. Villeneuve gets past Tyre Hills. Nice clean move around the outside of turn 1. And of course, as soon as I switch off, Mr. Bean then makes the move on Bass in that more unusual DRS overtaking zone. Hoop, I believe is it the NFL semi-finals, or whatever you call them?
Yes. One of those games I think is about to start. Well, I say about to start. It says 3 o'clock, and then it actually starts at 3:30.
Gotta get those ads in.
So yeah, there's football, but it's mostly commercials. So gotta get the commercials in.
Is there a team you follow?
Well, there's 3 or 4 teams that I follow or grew up following. I don't really have a one favorite team. I will say the team from Washington, D.C., my mom grew up there, so have a rooting interest for them this afternoon.
Yeah, they've got, I think, Cliff Kingsbury as their offensive coordinator.
Yes.
So back when I was in Texas studying, he was the head coach of Texas Tech. Fun fact. And not
That's
only
right.
that, back when I was at, well, you obviously know this, but back when I was at Texas Tech, Pat Mahomes was the quarterback
Yep.
and making a name for himself and was incredible and was basically roasting other college teams.
What did
Went
we
to a lot
see?
of
We
games.
just saw a penalty. I think that was for GK Bass. Picked up 10 seconds entering the pit lane, so that's really going to hurt now.
It just goes to show how right you are about the difficulty because so many top drivers have done it. You know, you think maybe if you're watching it from a neutral point of view, you might think, well, you're seeing other people get penalties, just brake a bit earlier. I mean, it crosses their mind for sure, but it's easier said than done. Yeah, it's really weird to think that it was obviously a long time ago now, but I'd come out of an electric circuits class, go into the corridor for my maths class, and then Mahomes would be in the same corridor because he had a class next door.
That is wild. Yeah. Very different life paths, you and Pat Mahomes, from that one corridor, huh? But
Yeah, I
in
think
that
he made
moment,
better
you were
life. He made better
equals.
live moves. Yeah, that was the last moment we were equals in pretty much every department, especially financial. He was really nice though. Actually, I did speak to him. I think only twice, but he wasn't like that classic. You know, there's like the stereotype in movies where quarterbacks are kind of dicks and
Right.
so on. He never ever struck me as that. He was very nice. He spoke to everyone.
It seems like most of the leaders have started to come through, get onto those soft tires, our latest stoppers. Still a couple of, let's see, Tar Heels still on the mediums, Frosty, 21 lap old hards, but starting to even out, starting to get a better picture of where everyone is in the grand scheme of this race.
Yeah, and Phantom Minim will be desperately trying to catch up. I know there's the penalty, but you still want to do it on track. You never know what could happen. He's catching up nicely. Just set a really, really fast lap. He's now got the ghosted car for company. Taking the wildest lines I've ever seen.
They gained by 2.5 seconds that last lap.
And I'm going to switch to Martin, because he's on an absolute charge, just coming out on the soft tyres. He's going to try and overtake his teammate. Hopefully, he'll just let him through. Up to P7. Good race so far for Martin.
Oh, Dr. J.
Oh!
DNF'd, and that brings out the full course safety car. Wow.
And he's crashed after the banked corner, I believe. No, it was the exit of... I don't even know what turn number it is. I mean, Frosty's just coming up to it now.
That little chicane with the gravel trap and the... Yes, I believe that's called the Hans Ernst chicane. In my 5 minutes of prep time before this, looked at the track map. So there's my one contribution for this one.
Don't worry, sometimes I have my laptop open just with the track map.
So now wondering if we see, let's see, maybe Finsick. Really, any of the guys. Yeah, Mr. Bean is in, Phantom Venom is in, even on those fresh softs. Pretty much the whole field might come in for this one.
And does the 10-second pen get served? Yeah.
Yes.
So it's certainly game on.
And
I'm glad that Phantom Venom recognised all of that and did pit, because you're absolutely spot on. He definitely should have pit onto a new set of softs.
I wonder if someone like Martin, just one lap, he's had one push lap, if he will duck in, and he won't. He will stay out.
Great observation there.
He will get the track position.
Oh no, did someone pit under safety? Sorry, someone sped under safety car. Yeah, that one, I'll be honest, that one I have less sympathy for. I think that's just pure driver error. Oh well, it happens. Come on, man, safety car. Well, let's take a look at the winners and losers so far. And actually, first of all, fastest lap, Phantom Minim, 1:10.4. A long way ahead, or much quicker than your position so far. But yeah, on to winners and losers. Mr. Bean up 2, Phantom Minim, of course, maintaining first from pole. A lot of drivers, well, Finsick, Joe, Martin, Bats, all kind of up 2 or 3, 4 places. But then you've got Gordon, Bass down 4, both making mistakes at the same place. That's really all there is to it. And then Ty Hills, of course, with the conservative start of the back strategy that he really knows and loves. He's made his way up to 10th place. Up 8 places.
And he's one of the big winners from this safety car, because I believe he was still on his starting tire.
Wow. Yeah, that's really paid off. Just whilst I'll move up to Mr. Bean on POV, but we can take a little look at the race director. So Martin only pit once, of course he stayed out. Ty Hills, you're absolutely spot on. That was his first pit stop, medium to softs. Dr. J's out, everyone else, yeah, so everyone else has pit at least twice. Butler is on his 5th set of tyres. Fun fact.
Hey, if they're going to give them to him, if they're in the garage, you might as well use them.
Yeah, he's not paying for the tyres.
Imagine it'll be this lap, and then the next lap, and probably green to start lap 29. I guess that makes that a 8-lap sprint to the finish. Interesting to see if the softs or the mediums kind of went out here. It's going to be very close.
Absolutely.
Oh no.
What's happened?
Did Martin...
What's happened to Martin?
That...
Oh no.
Wow.
Oh. I completely missed it.
It looks like the exit of where that DRS zone starts in Sector 2. Maybe he caught the curb, maybe he had help, but whatever it is, it's terminal, and it's another rough one for Martin. He's had some really good races, but the last 4 or 5 have been a struggle for him.
What's Free Guy doing? Is Free Guy unlapping himself?
Perhaps. It looks like he is. He's taken off.
Does the game allow that? Have they added that in now? What?
I have no idea. I
don't think I've ever seen that before. Like, I've seen drivers do it and then get disqualified.
It looks like Butler is stuck in traffic, so I don't know.
Well, he's not been given a penalty. So either the game's glitched out and we're now going to be stuck in safety car hell for the rest of the race, or this is a new feature. But it's Michael Massey. Michael Massey's here. He's decided that this time the Mercedes could unlap. But Williams, they didn't pay him enough money, so Williams doesn't get the opportunity.
Oh, wow. I just watched Mr. Bean. He was warming his tires, went off, and lost a position. Let's see if he's able to get that back, or if the game allows him to get that back.
Wow.
Okay, he's back in front. But, sometimes you will get passed under safety car. We'll try to retake your position, and the game will penalize you for it.
Yeah, interesting mistakes under SC. I mean, I know it can be a bit mind-numbing, but yeah, a bit of an unusual situation. And in terms of Martin, I didn't see what happened. I just really, really hope it was just his own mistake, as horrible as that sounds. Obviously commiserations.
Right.
I do hope no one rammed him off, because that would be horrific.
Yeah, Martin had a back-to-back podiums just a couple weeks ago, but has finished 13th and 10th over his last 2. So another one looks like be a 14th place finish for him this round.
Oh no,
Oof.
Mysterious. We'll talk about it in a second, because Phantom Minim is about to launch. It's a difficult relaunch actually around here.
Yes,
You've got to make the most of the short straight from the start finish line. That's the standard strat, but we'll see. See if it works.
Very late.
Yeah, not ideal. He's opened up to a dive bomb here, but just about covered it off. Gourd
Leave some
Sauce
space.
around the outside, maintaining 4 from Joe. Very clean getaway from most drivers so far. And yeah, I think Mysterious had a case of the Lance Stroll, and he got a 10-second penalty. I caught a
Hey, it
glimmer of that.
happens. It certainly does happen. I say that because like 3 weeks ago, I did the same thing at Singapore for midweek. You just smash into the back of someone under safety car.
Absolutely, I can relate.
It's
I actually did that here. I did that. This is the only time I've done it. It was in PRL and it was at this track, and I went into the back of someone and damaged my front wing and got a 10-second, and I felt like the biggest idiot alive.
Wow, Phantom actually pulling away already on this lap. Already 1.2 seconds clear of Mr. Bean.
Wow. Lap 29 of 36 for the Performance Racing League round, I believe 12 at Zandvoort for those that are late joining. And Finsick now eyeing up and trying to overtake Mr. Bean for second place. DRS only now just being enabled, so incredible move from Finsick to do it with no help of the DRS. Mr. Bean's got to be a little bit careful now. Just maintain position, focus. Gourd Sauce is quick. He'll be sort of eyeing him up. Normally when a driver drops places, the rest of the grid sort of see that and put pressure on.
Yeah, this could come right to Gourd Sauce. He needs to be in front of Mr. Bean to make up points, and he has the tire advantage right now. I could see him certainly going aggressive.
Amazing. 6 laps to go. Really nice tight grid. Great drivers. Fast pace. I think this is still anyone's race, but Phantom Minim really is kind of trying to set the standard. Certainly has done enough to deserve the win so far. So this will be the first start-finish straight with DRS since the safety car restart.
Wow, 10-3.
Mr. Bean reclaiming second and then providing a shield to Gourd Sauce.
It got very, very tight there. Gore got into the back of the Sauber, and that's going to hurt him.
He's missing a front left end plate. Just a little bit over eager, perhaps. So hard to measure when to brake when there's a battle. You know, you want to be careful, but at the same time, you want to be opportunistic. It's a real fine line.
Speaking of a battle, side by side behind them, that's Joe and GK Bass have been tangling through this whole first sector. Joe emerges in front, and he'll be the first one to get to the back of Gourd, who now is lacking that downforce. So
sector 2 is going to really hurt, isn't it, for him, I believe.
We'll still have DRS to help him, but oh wow, Bass all over the back of Joe. He sends it to the inside.
Oh,
they're still side by side through the chicane. Wow.
Oh, great driving there. Really respectful. GK Bass clung on for dear life, trying to get that move done, I believe, on Joe. Wow. And then Finsick.
Yep.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, it was Finsick's turn to make the overtake here at the end of the front straight. Imagine they will keep trading off until, well, someone's going to have one last shot at it.
The free guy needs to desperately get out of the way.
Hadn't he unlapped himself, too? He's right back into the thick of it with this front pack.
It's weird because on my he unlapped himself, but then on the Delta it says plus 1 minute 7, so it's showing as a lapped car. I'm guessing he had to pit again. I think he had to pit again. Something must have gone wrong for him. So I think he lost all the gains he made, so he's now being lapped.
I see it. Yep, he's on fresh softs.
Yeah, makes sense. But he came out at like the worst possible time. Not his fault at all, but just came right out into the fight for the win. Or second, let's be honest. At this point. Subject to change. So I think Gore didn't get the launch he wanted, but without the front left end plate, it's just so difficult. So he could get double swallowed here, double overtaken, I should say. No hangs on, so just loses one place.
Well, Tar Heels and Mysterious. Oh, there's contact back there. Tar Heels had just gotten by Mysterious. Mysterious went for kind of a switchback move, and they got a little tangled.
Oh, and I tell you what, not a lot of space given to Villeneuve there. Almost ended in disaster. And
Mysterious with some damage now, and it's going to get very, very tight through these dune corners. Up through turn 7.
I thought the Ferrari was going to try and go
side
for
by
the
side.
move.
Ooh. Villeneuve don't.
Oh.
That lack of downforce really hurting Mysterious now.
Yeah. He allowed the car to place himself on the inside, so he's always going to kind of get gently forced to the outside, and then you're on that horrible curve.
Villeneuve and Frosty comes out the big winner here. Mysterious sends it to the inside. No, he goes back to the outside.
Gord has a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings on, I think, corner cutting.
Oh, he's boxing now. Oh, Gord, you could still hang on to it. I'm wondering if he's going to retire out of frustration. Yeah. It's been a frustrating couple of weeks for him, but that's going to be, I think that's a bit of a blunder.
Yeah, I mean, the race was still on for sure, as Frosty goes for the late defensive dive. I don't know if maybe a yellow flag saved him. I think the yellow flag saved him because Villeneuve comfortably had the move and then braked really early. So either Villeneuve was really scared or I think the yellow flag saved him, unfortunately, for Villeneuve's case. Oh, there is Free Guy. I believe it's free. Oh no, it's Gordsource retiring. My apologies, because the car came out of the pits. Missed that.
I missed it. GK Bass pulled away from Joe, and he's right on the back of Finsick, looking at a podium now. He's going to get involved in this battle for second.
Wow. So 2 flying laps to go, and the battle for second is on between Bean, Finsick, and Bass, within 2 seconds of each other. Battery levels looking very, very equivalent. I see a yellow flag. Has the other Mercedes gone in?
Free Guy is also retired in the pits. And man, it's still Constructors is still on. I think frustration is just getting the best of them, especially with Gord. It feels like I think he feels the championship slipping away from him, but there were still certainly points on the table, and he just kind of threw them away.
Yeah. You never know what could happen. I've been on the losing end where I've led from I think race 3 until the last race and then lost. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you can certainly lose, even when you think you're okay.
And Mercedes just 13 points behind the Williams in constructors, but that's certainly going to balloon now.
Absolutely. So let's ride on board then with Finsick as he makes his way. This may be his last proper opportunity, so he's sensibly going for it. Down the inside, as you say, into P2, and it's a case of can he hold on, and then can he maintain enough battery to defend? Bass will be so frustrated. Nothing more annoying than just being behind in the DRS train. But let's see, I'm on Bass's POV, so we can watch this battle unfold. Bass almost dropped it there. Villeneuve got past Frosty, up to P7.
Oh, he kind of went deep, though. Maybe left the door open for Frosty. But I shuts him off before we get to turn 3.
Oh, Mr. Bean is looking very confident. Tries to almost fake the inside. Hopes Finsick will react. Finsick doesn't bite. What a drive, actually, from well, almost all these drivers. Lots of good drives, but in particular, I think Phantom Minim and Finsick have really impressed. Finsick up 4. Incredible stuff.
Yep, Finsick held him off in that final DRS zone.
So I'm going to go on board with Phantom Minim. Go ahead, Poop.
Yep, Phantom taking it all the way to the line. He starts on pole and he picks up his second PRL victory.
Mr. Bean! Mr. Bean's going to get the move! Oh!
Mr. Bean got the move
done. Right on the line. Right on the line. Wow.
Half a tenth.
Wow. Great stuff. So he did what was required, saved the battery, and just completely catapulted out across the start-finish line. And Villeneuve is just going to hold on. Really impressive P6 for Villeneuve. 7th for Frosty, 8th for Tar Heels, 9th for Bats. Mysterious currently in 10th. Yeah, he'll maintain that. And then unfortunately Butler, who got lapped after pitting, is the last of the on-track finishers in 11th. Good race. I mean, action all the way to the flag. Finsick given driver of the day.
There's certainly really good finishes here. A lot of tight finishes at the line, and we got another one today.
PRL delivers again. It's great to see so many drivers sticking around for a long time. And yeah, just for those that are new to the stream or motorsport in general, you can join the Discord server. It's F124. I think it's available on most platforms. I'm certainly not going to try and market the game, but if you want to join Discord, you can talk to us, and yeah, there's always opportunities. So let's run through the order. Take us away, Hoop.
Oh, for sure. Phantom Venom started on pole, picked up fastest lap, and picked up a victory. He's on the top step. Mr. Bean, second. Finsick could not hold off Mr. Bean at the line. He will finish third. GK Bass up down to fourth. Joe Bidom is P5. Villeneuve up from 11th gets to P6. Frosty, Tar Heels from the back to 8th. Bats 9th. Mysterious 10th. Then Butler a lap down. Free Guy 3 laps down with Gourd Sauce. Martin, Dr. J, Volt, Yanaman, and Marchena all DNFing. So a nice full grid here today. But Phantom Venom starts on pole and finishes on the top step.
Amazing. Great race. I'm just going to go through the race director for the sake of the stewards to look back on. Quite a few 10 seconds for speeding in the pits penalties, but what a race. Thanks so much, Hoop, for commentating, as always. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in, especially for the messages during the stream. Let us know if there's anything you want to see in the future. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And if you did, at the same time, again, for I think round 13, is that the penultimate round?
Yes, at Mexico.
There we go. 7 days' time, 7 p.m. GMT, Mexico. Thanks so much, everyone. Hoop and Lucas, over your commentators, and have a great week.